There comes a moment in every person's life when they quietly ask themselves a simple question: is this it? Is this the future I'm willing to accept, or do I believe there's more? And it's in that tiny question, whispered deep inside, where the future actually begins. Let me start by telling you something that most people don't realize: your future does not change slowly, it changes instantly. Not because of luck, not because of timing, not because the world suddenly becomes easier, but because of a decision, one decision. And here's the part most people ignore: your biggest transformation will never come from massive action. It will always come from a moment of courage, a moment where you choose differently than you did yesterday. Today, we talk about 5 decisions that don't require money, privilege, or perfect timing, but they do require honesty, courage, and a willingness to stop negotiating with your old self. If you stay with me until the end, I promise you this: you will not just understand these decisions, you will feel compelled to act on them. Because your future is too important to be postponed. Let's begin. Most people rush, but very few know where they are going. And that is one of the quiet tragedies of modern ambition. We confuse movement with progress, effort with direction, and exhaustion with achievement. We glorify speed because it feels like action. It feels like momentum. It feels like we're doing something. But deep down, many people are sprinting in circles, hoping the intensity of the run will somehow magically transform into purpose. It never does. Running faster doesn't mean you're moving forward. It only means you're getting tired quicker. And the fatigue that comes from directionless effort is the heaviest kind, because it doesn't just exhaust your body, it drains your conviction, your clarity, and your belief in yourself. When you move without direction, life comes a constant cycle of catching up. You chase what other people have. You chase what you think you should want. You chase trends, opinions, and moments that don't belong to you. And the moment you slow down, even for a breath, you feel behind. But behind what? Behind who? Most people don't even know. They're measuring success with someone else's ruler. They're comparing their journey with someone else's map. And so they run and they run and they run, not towards something, but away from the discomfort of feeling lost. Yet the moment you decide to choose direction instead of speed, something shifts, something powerful, something quiet, something transformative. Suddenly the noise gets softer. The pressure loosens. The self-doubt that once felt overwhelming begins to fade, not because life gets easier, but because the path becomes clearer. When you stop running just to run, you create the space to ask the questions that actually matter. Who am I becoming? What truly matters to me? What do I want my life to stand for? And direction begins exactly there, with honest answers to uncomfortable questions. Choosing direction is not about having every step planned. It's not about knowing every milestone in advance or having a roadmap with perfect clarity. Direction is a commitment, a choice to walk something meaningful instead of running toward everything convenient. When you move with direction, even your slowest steps take you further than your fastest ones ever did. And that's because speed is a measurement of the body, but direction is a measurement of the soul. Your energy aligns with your purpose the moment you make this choice. And alignment is one of the most powerful forces in the world. When you know what you are moving toward, your energy is no longer scattered across 100 distractions. You stop waking up overwhelmed by everything you could do and start focusing on what you must do. You no longer waste time trying to be everywhere, trying to please everyone, trying to accomplish everything at once. You begin conserving your energy for the things that actually matter. And strangely enough, it makes you more productive, not because you're doing more, but because you're doing what matters. Purpose is not always loud. It does not always arrive with fireworks or dramatic revelations. Sometimes it comes as a whisper, a quiet sense that something feels right, aligned, connected. When you choose direction, you tune into that whisper. You make room for those subtle signals that guide you. You begin to notice the ideas, people, and opportunities that were always there but invisible in the blur of speed. Purpose can't be heard at high velocity. It requires intention. It requires stillness. It requires choosing a path even when you're unsure where it leads, trusting that clarity grows with movement. You also stop comparing when you choose direction. Comparison thrives in chaos. When you don't know where you're going, everyone else seems ahead. Everyone seems wiser, richer, more consistent, more capable. But what you don't see is that many of those people are running the same race with the same uncertainty, just at a different pace. The moment you commit to your own direction, the need to compare fades, your focus turns inward. Success becomes personal, growth becomes personal, progress becomes personal. You stop asking, am I ahead of them? And start asking, am I ahead of who I was yesterday? And you stop competing, not because competition is bad, but because your path becomes so specific to you that competing no longer makes sense. You begin to understand that you don't need to outrun anyone. You only need to outgrow the version of yourself who doubted, feared, and hesitated. The race is no longer horizontal, comparing your steps to someone else's. It becomes vertical, rising into the person you are capable of becoming. And that is a far more meaningful victory. Then something beautiful happens. You start creating. When you are no longer drained by the pressure of speed and comparison, you unlock a different kind of strength. Creativity thrives in direction. Clarity frees your mind. Purpose frees your emotions. Consistency frees your spirit. You begin to build things that reflect your truth, your values, your identity. You create ideas that resonate because they come from a place of authenticity, not imitation. You create opportunities because you're willing to walk a path most people are too distracted to notice. You create progress because every step is deliberate, not frantic. Choosing direction doesn't make the journey easier, but it makes it meaningful. It doesn't eliminate challenges, but it gives you a reason to endure them. It doesn't promise speed, but it promises significance. And the truth is, significance will always outlast speed. People who chase speed burn out. People who chase direction build legacies. The decision to choose direction over speed is the moment you stop living reactively and start living intentionally. It is the moment you claim your future instead of waiting for it. It is the moment you begin to design a life, not just move through one. And that decision, quiet, personal, internal, is the foundation of every great transformation. When you choose direction, you step into a life where each step takes you somewhere that matters, where each effort has weight, where each day has meaning. You stop running blindly and start moving purposefully. And that is how your future begins to level up, not in a dramatic instant, but in a single, thoughtful decision that shifts everything. Comfort feels good today, but it steals the joy from tomorrow. And that's the trap most people never see coming. Comfort disguises itself as peace, as safety, as stability. It whispers, stay here. You're fine, you're doing enough. It convinces you that stillness is rest, even when it's actually stagnation. What makes comfort so dangerous is that it never feels dangerous. It feels warm, familiar, predictable. You don't have to stretch, risk, or confront anything within yourself. But every day you choose comfort, you quietly trade a piece of your potential for a moment of ease. And after years of choosing comfort, people wake up to a life that never became what it could have been. Growth feels uncomfortable today, but it gives you a future you're proud of. Unlike comfort, growth doesn't whisper. It challenges, it provokes, it unsettles you in the best way. Growth demands that you face truth, effort, and change. It asks you to leave behind habits that numb you and step into habits that strengthen you. It requires you to stretch past the identity you've clung to and meet the person you're capable of becoming. Growth isn't supposed to feel good, not at the beginning. It's supposed to feel unfamiliar, uncertain, and even intimidating. Because everything extraordinary begins with discomfort. Every major transformation begins with a moment where you choose the path that scares you instead of the one that soothes you. The difference between comfort and growth is the difference between immediate pleasure and long-term pride. Comfort gives you temporary relief. Growth gives you lasting reward. Comfort gives you a break from effort. Growth gives you a breakthrough because of effort. Comfort makes today easy. Growth makes tomorrow meaningful. And life, in its strange and beautiful way, constantly puts you at this crossroads. Not once, not twice, but every day. Every decision, every habit, every opportunity comes with two doors, one labeled comfort and the other labeled growth. And the truth is, it's tempting to choose the first door because comfort is effortless. It doesn't challenge your beliefs, your boundaries, or your limitations. It allows you to keep repeating the same behaviors and call it good enough. But deep down, good enough is not why you're here. You're here to expand, to evolve, to rise. Growth, on the other hand, asks you to walk into unfamiliar territory. It asks you to try things you're not good at yet. It asks you to make decisions without guaranteed results. It asks you to stretch your courage, strengthen your discipline, and test your resilience. It asks for your willingness to fail, to learn, to get back up, and to keep going. And though the initial step feels uncomfortable, every step after that begins to build something inside you: confidence, capability, character. People often think fear is a sign they should turn back. But fear is often a sign that growth is near. Fear shows up when you stand at the edge of expansion. Comfort will always feel safe, but safe isn't always aligned with your future. Safe can be stagnant. Safe can be small. Safe can be silent. And while safety protects you, growth prepares you. Your future self is silently hoping you choose growth. That version of you, the stronger, thorough, wiser, more fulfilled version, is waiting on the other side of all the choices you make today. They're hoping you say yes to the things that stretch you. They're hoping you say no to the things that waste your potential. They're hoping you take the leap, make the change, try the new thing, ask the difficult question, have the courageous conversation, take the uncomfortable step. Because that future self knows something your present self often forgets. Comfort will feel good now, but it will cost you later. Growth will feel hard now, but it will serve you later. Think back to the times in your life when you felt the proudest, the strongest, the most alive. They weren't moments of comfort. They were moments of courage. Times when you did something difficult, when you broke a pattern, when you dared to believe you were capable of more. Every meaningful memory has growth in it. Every chapter you're proud of began with discomfort. Comfort never wrote a great story. Growth always did. When you choose growth, your identity begins to shift. You stop settling, you stop shrinking, you stop hiding behind excuses and start stepping into responsibility. You begin to see yourself as someone who can handle challenges instead of someone who needs to avoid them. You begin trusting your ability to grow into the demands of your dreams. The discomfort you once feared becomes the doorway to a version of yourself you never knew was possible. Growth doesn't mean you have to change everything overnight. It means you commit to changing something today. It means you choose the harder conversation. You pick up the book instead of the distraction. You train your mind instead of numbing it. You take the opportunity instead of talking yourself out of it. You invest in learning instead of investing in comfort. Small choices repeated over time reshape your entire future. Every time you choose growth, you make your future brighter, your path clearer, your confidence deeper. Your world expands because you expand. Comfort narrows your life. Growth widens it. Comfort keeps you who you are. Growth pulls you toward who you can become. And the truth is, your future self is counting on the decisions you make right now. They're hoping you don't stay where it feels easy. They're hoping you don't shrink into the familiar. They're hoping you choose the discomfort that shapes you instead of the comfort that blinds you. Your future self isn't judging you. They're rooting for you. They're cheering for the version of you today that has the courage to lean into growth even when it feels difficult. One day, you'll look back and thank yourself for every uncomfortable choice you made, every risk you took, every habit you adopted, every challenge you embraced. Because that will be the day you see the life you built, one that didn't come from comfort, but from courage. And in that moment, you'll realize something profound. Growth may not feel good today, but it makes every tomorrow worth living. Intensity is exciting. It gives you a rush, a spark, a moment where everything feels dramatic and powerful. Intensity makes you feel like change is happening right now, like you're rewriting your entire life in a single burst of energy. And because it feels so big, so thrilling, we often confuse that feeling with true transformation. But intensity is temporary by nature. It peaks quickly and it falls just as fast. It's the firework in the night sky, bright, loud, impressive, and gone in seconds. And that's why intensity alone can never carry you to the future you want. Consistency is life-changing. It's quieter, calmer, less glamorous. It rarely gets applause. It doesn't feel heroic. It doesn't feel dramatic. Sometimes it doesn't even feel productive. But consistency has something intensity never will: permanence. It builds slowly, steadily, layer by layer. And while intensity burns out, consistency compounds. It takes small, repeated actions and turns them into a force powerful enough to reshape your entire future. The life you dream of isn't built by the moments you feel inspired. It's built by the moments you show up even when inspiration is nowhere to be found. Anyone can be intense for a day. Anyone can have a burst of motivation, a sudden wave of energy, a moment of commitment that feels unstoppable. We've all had days like that, days where we decide to change everything at once, start the new habit, break the old one, work harder than ever, push with every ounce of strength we have. And on those days, it feels like we've done something remarkable. But intensity doesn't ask for devotion, it asks for emotion. And emotion fades. Few can be consistent for a year. Few can wake up and do the small things when they don't feel like it. Few can stay committed when the excitement wears off. Few can keep going when no one is watching, when no one is cheering, when no one seems to care. Consistency isn't fueled by emotion, it's fueled by character. It's the quiet promise you make to yourself and keep every single day, long after the motivation has evaporated. And that's why the people who change their lives aren't the ones who start the fastest, they're the ones who keep moving the longest. But here's the truth: your future is built by the things you do repeatedly, not occasionally. Your identity is shaped by repetition. Your habits carve the path you walk on. The actions you take daily become the story you tell 5 years from now. We love to believe that our lives will change because of one big moment, one big opportunity, one big effort. But life doesn't work that way. Your future is not written by what you do once, it's written by what you commit to doing over and over. One workout doesn't change your body. One act of kindness doesn't build your character. One moment of focus doesn't build your career. It's what you repeat day after day, moment after moment, that shapes your destiny. Consistency is the decision that turns dreams into reality. Not talent, not genius, not luck, consistency. Because consistency builds discipline, and discipline builds results. Consistency creates trust. You begin to trust yourself, and others begin to trust you. Consistency builds momentum, and once momentum forms, progress becomes nearly unstoppable. Even the smallest steps, taken daily, become mountains when compounded. 1 page a day becomes a book. 1 hour of learning becomes expertise. One tiny habit becomes a new identity. The beautiful thing about consistency is that it doesn't demand perfection. It doesn't demand speed. It doesn't demand intensity. It just demands presence. Show up, even if it's small, even if it's slow, even if it's imperfect. Consistency says, do it again tomorrow. And tomorrow becomes a week becomes a month becomes a year, and a year of small actions can produce results bigger than a lifetime of occasional intensity. Intensity wants you to change your life in one grand moment. Consistency asks you to change your life one simple step at a time. And one day, you look back and realize that the step you took today was the foundation for a future you once only imagined. You realize that while everyone else was searching for motivation, you were building habits. While others were chasing quick fixes, you were building systems. While others were focused on the moment, you were focused on the mission. Consistency also shapes your mindset. It teaches you patience. It teaches you resilience. It teaches you how to move forward even when it feels inconvenient or uncomfortable. It teaches you how to breathe through challenges, how to endure through boredom, how to persevere through setbacks. When you practice consistency, you learn that progress is rarely loud or dramatic. It's disguised as small steps repeated until they become effortless. And with each repetition, you're not just building a habit, you're becoming a stronger, more disciplined, more grounded version of yourself. People often think greatness comes from extraordinary actions. But greatness comes from ordinary actions done extraordinarily well, repeated over time. It's not the person who works the hardest for one day who succeeds. It's the person who works steadily for thousands of days. The world celebrates dramatic breakthroughs, but it rarely sees the thousands of quiet repetitions that made the breakthrough possible. The truth is, intensity will give you a moment, but consistency will give you a life. Intensity makes promises. Consistency fulfills them. Intensity gets attention. Consistency earns respect. Intensity burns bright. Consistency burns long. Intensity makes you feel powerful. Consistency makes you become powerful. If you want to change anything, your health, your finances, your relationships, your mindset, the magic isn't in doing everything at once. It's in choosing one thing and doing it again and again. It's in keeping your promises to yourself. It's in refusing to let the excitement of day one overshadow the commitment of day 100. You don't need to be extreme, just committed. You don't need to be perfect, just persistent. You don't need intensity to change your life. You need consistency. When you look at the people you admire, the ones who seem disciplined, confident, or extraordinarily capable, what you're seeing is the compound result of small actions done over long periods of time. You're seeing the product of boring days, of quiet work, of uncelebrated discipline. You're seeing the invisible power of consistency made visible. And that's why choosing consistency over intensity is one of the most important decisions you will ever make for your future. It's not exciting, but it's effective. It's not dramatic, but it's transformational. It doesn't feel like a revolution, but it creates one inside you. Because every day you choose consistency, you cast a vote for the person you want to become. Every repetition is a brick. Every habit is a beam. Every consistent action is a step up the staircase of your future. Intensity may ignite the fire, but consistency keeps it burning. And in the end, it's the steady flame, not the sudden spark, that lights the path to the life you've always envisioned. The strongest people are not the ones with the most willpower. They are the ones who design an environment where their success becomes the default. We often glorify willpower as the ultimate strength, imagining that the most disciplined, successful, powerful people simply push harder, resist temptation better, and force themselves into greatness. But that isn't true. Willpower is fragile. It fades, it fluctuates, it gets tired, and it breaks under pressure. Even the most disciplined person can fall apart when placed in the wrong environment. It's not weakness, it's human nature. And the sooner we accept that, the sooner we understand one of the greatest secrets of success: your environment will always shape your future more than your willpower ever will. Most people try to change by fighting against their environment. They try to quit bad habits while staying surrounded by the same triggers. They try to adopt new routines in the same spaces that reinforce their old ones. They try to grow while staying surrounded by those who resist growth. They try to think bigger while spending time with people who think small. And then when they fail, they blame themselves. They think they didn't try hard enough. They think their discipline was weak. They think their willpower was not strong enough. But the truth is, nothing was wrong with their willpower. Something was wrong with the environment that kept pulling them backward. Willpower works like a battery. It starts full in the morning, weakens throughout the day, and drains even faster when surrounded by friction. But environment works like electricity. It keeps you powered without effort. When your environment supports your goals, you don't need to fight for your future anymore. Your future begins fighting for you. It pulls you forward. It nudges you in the right direction. It reduces resistance. It amplifies focus. It makes progress feel natural instead of forced. When you choose to surround yourself with the right people, the right information, the right habits, everything changes. People shape your behavior, whether you realize it or not. If you spend time with people who complain, you'll start complaining. If you spend time with people who take risks, you'll start taking risks. If you spend time with people who dream, who grow, who push themselves, you will rise to match them. Human beings mirror their environment. It's not conscious. It's not intentional. It's automatic. That's why your circle matters more than your motivation. The right people don't just inspire you. They normalize the behavior required to become the future version of yourself. They don't let you settle. They reflect back the version of you that you're trying to become. They hold you accountable without even trying. Their lifestyle, their choices, their standards create a new baseline for you. You don't have to push yourself constantly. They pull you upward by the way they live. And that simple shift in your social environment can accomplish more than months of self-discipline alone. The information you consume matters just as much. Your environment is not just physical, it's digital, emotional, intellectual. If you constantly feed your mind negativity, fear, distractions, and noise, your willpower will be overwhelmed. But when you curate your inputs, books that challenge you, videos that inspire you, conversations that elevate you, your mind begins to think differently, your perspective evolves, your clarity sharpens, your hopes expand, and suddenly, the decisions that once felt difficult become obvious. You no longer have to force yourself to think positively. You naturally do. Habits are environments too. A habit is simply a small ecosystem of cues and behaviors you repeat. Rearranging your physical space can change your habits without any extra willpower. If you want to read more, put a book on your pillow. If you want to eat healthier, make healthy food the easiest food to grab. If you want to exercise more, put your shoes by the door. If you want to stop doom scrolling, make your phone harder to access. The smallest changes in your surroundings can produce the biggest changes in your lifestyle. Success is not built on dramatic acts of willpower. It is built on effortless alignment. And alignment comes from designing environments that make the right choices the easy choices. You don't rise to the level of your intentions. You fall to the level of your environment. Even the strongest intentions collapse when surrounded by friction. But even the weakest intentions become powerful when supported by a structure that reinforces them. Think about how many people fail with New Year's resolutions, not because they lack desire, but because they stayed in the same environment that created the behaviors they wanted to escape. They try to change internally while everything externally stays the same. But growth becomes natural when your environment changes first. It becomes difficult not to grow. It becomes difficult not to move forward. That's how powerful environment is. It reduces the need for strength and replaces it with support. Your future self thrives in the right environment. It flourishes where people believe in growth. It expands where ideas are valued. It strengthens where habits are supported. It evolves where ambition is normalized. When you put yourself in that kind of environment, success becomes less about pushing through obstacles and more about being carried by momentum. And that's the ultimate shift. You no longer fight for your future starts fighting for you. Instead of resisting distractions, distractions lose their appeal. Instead of forcing discipline, discipline becomes part of your identity. Instead of struggling against your impulses change. Instead of battling old habits, they crumble naturally. Instead of trying to become someone new, you begin to grow into that person simply by being in the right place, with the right people, surrounded by the right energy. You don't need more willpower. You need a better environment. You need a space that reflects your goals, not your weaknesses. You need relationships that challenge your limits, not your confidence. You need a routine that builds your strength, not your stress. When you choose environment over willpower, you choose ease over effort, clarity over chaos, growth over struggle. The strongest people are the ones who design their surroundings, their relationships, their routines, and their daily life in a way that naturally becomes the soil for their future. They don't rely on strength, they rely on design. And because of that, they grow not by force, but by alignment. They become unstoppable not because they push harder, but because everything around them moves in the same direction as they do. Your environment is shaping you right now, whether you chose it or not. But once you choose intentionally, once you align your surroundings with your aspirations, you unlock a level of growth that doesn't require willpower, it simply requires presence. And when that happens, your future begins to accelerate effortlessly, consistently, powerfully. Your future, once something you chase, becomes something that pulls you forward with its own force. And that is the moment your life begins to change forever. Most people make decisions based on one question. What will they think? And this single question, repeated quietly in the mind, shapes more lives than any external force ever could. It makes people shrink when they want to stand tall. It makes them stay silent when they want to speak. It makes them follow paths that don't belong to them, pursue goals that don't fulfill them, and live in ways that keep them safe but small. Approval is one of the most powerful currencies we chase, and yet it's one of the most fragile. It is given temporarily, it is taken easily, and it is never enough to build a meaningful life upon. Living for approval is like building a home on shifting sand. No matter how hard you try, no matter how perfectly you perform, the ground beneath you never feels steady. But extraordinary people ask a far better question. What will this make me become? That question shifts everything. It shifts attention from external noise to internal evolution. It turns decisions from popularity contests into defining moments of growth. It moves your focus from how others see you to how you will see yourself. This single question, simple but profound, transforms your choices, your direction, your identity, because who you become matters infinitely more than what others think. When you begin to evaluate your decisions through the lens of who you will grow into, approval loses its grip on you. Approval fades. No matter how hard you try to maintain it, no matter how much you adjust yourself to please others, approval is temporary. People change their opinions, they change their preferences, they change their standards. And if your life is built around earning their approval, then your identity becomes unstable. You will constantly shift to match what others expect. You will constantly compromise to avoid disappointment. You will trade your voice for acceptance, your authenticity for applause, your truth for belonging. And in that process, you will lose yourself. Purpose remains. Purpose is the internal compass that keeps you grounded even when the world is loud. It's the quiet voice inside that says, this is who you are becoming. Purpose doesn't depend on applause. Purpose doesn't shrink when criticized. Purpose doesn't evaporate when someone disapproves. Purpose is durable, consistent, and deeply personal. Purpose gives you strength when things get difficult. Purpose gives you meaning when things feel uncertain. Purpose gives you direction when everything around you becomes confusing. And once you choose purpose, something remarkable happens. You stop performing and start becoming. The moment you choose purpose over validation, you stop living someone else's script and start writing your own. Most people never realize they are following scripts written by others, parents, teachers, friends, society. These scripts tell them who to be, what is acceptable, what is safe, what will be approved. They live their lives seeking permission they don't actually need. They say yes when they want to say no. They follow paths that feel comfortable but empty. They stay in situations that don't honor them. They say what others want to hear instead of what they believe. Approval becomes their silent master. But choosing purpose frees you from all of this. Purpose empowers you to take ownership of your life. It gives you the courage to disappoint people when necessary. It helps you speak your truth even when your voice shakes. It teaches you that not everyone needs to understand your journey for your journey to be worth taking. Purpose is the decision to honor your inner voice above external opinions. And once that shift happens, you begin to live differently. Choosing purpose means asking deeper questions. Instead of, will they like this? You ask, will I be proud of this? Instead of, will they approve? You ask, does this align with my values? Instead of, will this make me look good? You ask, will this move me closer to the person I want to become? And those questions create a new kind of clarity. They reveal which decisions strengthen you and which decisions weaken you. They highlight which opportunities are aligned with your growth and which are merely distractions. They help you filter out noise so that only what matters remains. Purpose also builds resilience. When you're guided by approval, any criticism feels like a threat. Any judgment feels like rejection. Any failure feels like humiliation. But when you're guided by purpose, criticism becomes feedback, judgment becomes background noise, and failure becomes part of the path. You're no longer fragile because your value is no longer held in someone else's hands. You become grounded, steady, anchored, not because the world becomes easier, but because your direction becomes clearer. Choosing purpose requires courage. It requires stepping out of the comfortable shadows of other people's expectations and into the bright, sometimes uncomfortable light of your own possibility. It demands honesty with yourself about what you want, what you value, and what you're willing to risk. It may lead you to stand alone at times. It may ask you to make decisions others don't understand. It may require you to trust your vision even when others doubt it. But choosing purpose will always reward you in ways approval never can. Purpose leads to authenticity. When you no longer live for approval, you begin to express yourself fully. You begin to say what you mean. You begin to show who you truly are. You begin to pursue dreams that actually belong to you, not ones assigned to you. And authenticity becomes magnetic. It draws the right people, the right opportunities, the right environments. Approval brings temporary acceptance. Purpose brings genuine alignment. There's a moment in everyone's life where they face a choice to continue seeking validation or start seeking evolution. Validation feels safe but small. Evolution feels uncertain but expansive. Validation keeps you constrained. Evolution sets you free. And the difference between the two often comes down to one courageous decision to live for who you are becoming, not for what others will think. When you choose purpose over approval, your relationship with yourself changes. You begin to trust yourself more deeply. You begin to listen to your intuition instead of your fear. You begin to feel proud of your path. Even when no one else sees the struggle behind it, you begin to value your truth more than their applause. You realize that the world's approval is loud but fleeting, while your own self-respect is quiet but lasting. And one day, you'll look back and realize that the greatest decision you ever made was to stop letting external opinions dictate the shape of your life. You'll realize that purpose guided you to experiences that made you stronger, wiser, and more whole. You'll realize that choosing purpose didn't just change your future, it changed you. Because the real reward of living with purpose isn't what you achieve, it's who you become in the process. Approval fades. Purpose remains, and once you choose purpose, your story becomes yours again, authentic, intentional, powerful. You stop borrowing someone else's lines and begin speaking your own voice. You stop performing and begin living. You stop fitting into expectations and begin expanding into your potential. And that is where your true future begins. Your future is not defined by the big moments, but by the 5 decisions you quietly make when no one is watching. It's so tempting to believe that life changes in a single breakthrough, a lucky opportunity, a big win, or a dramatic turning point. But the truth is far quieter and far more empowering. Life doesn't transform when the world is clapping for you. It transforms when no one even knows you're trying. Those private choices, those invisible decisions, become the architecture of your future long before the world ever sees the results. And what makes these decisions powerful is not their size, but their consistency. The small, almost forgettable moments, the ones you think don't matter, are the ones shaping you when you're not paying attention. Think about the times you chose discipline instead of distraction, even when it felt insignificant. Think about the moments you chose learning instead of entertainment, even when no one congratulated you for it. Think about the moments you chose patience instead of panic. None of those moments were dramatic. None of them made headlines. None of them earned applause, but every single one was casting a vote for the kind of person you were becoming. The world may never know the exact moment your life changed, but you will. It was the moment you chose to be committed to your future, not occasionally, but quietly, consistently, and intentionally. We often underestimate these private decisions because we're trained to celebrate outcomes, not processes. We celebrate the person who built the business, not the nights they stayed up learning. We celebrate the transformation, not the mornings they forced themselves to get up early. We celebrate the confidence, not the years they spent battling self-doubt. But it is in those unseen battles that character is built. And character, far more than talent or luck, is what determines the future. When no one is watching, you are still becoming someone. And the person you become in the dark is the person you will be in the light. When you begin to understand this, you stop chasing quick wins. You learn to trust the quiet work. You begin to value the decisions that feel small because they have a habit of compounding. 5 minutes of reading today doesn't change your life, But 5 minutes every day for a year changes what your mind is capable of. Choosing a healthier option once doesn't transform your body, but choosing it consistently transforms your identity. Saying no to a distraction today won't make you the most focused person in the world, but saying no repeatedly will make focus your normal, not your effort. Your future is always being shaped by the things you repeatedly choose, not the things you occasionally feel inspired to do. And the beauty of this truth is that the future becomes deeply personal again. You no longer need to wait for the perfect time. You no longer need a big opportunity. You no longer need permission or validation. You simply need to start making small decisions that align with the person you want to become. When you choose direction, growth, consistency, environment, and purpose, especially when no one sees you choosing them, you are quietly writing the story of what your future will look like. These decisions don't shout, they whisper. But their impact is loud. These decisions do not rush, they compound. But their growth is unstoppable. What makes these decisions so powerful is that they prove something important in your future isn't something you encounter one day. It's something you are building right now. It's in your next choice, not your next milestone. It's in your next response, not your next big achievement. Every time you choose the harder but wiser path, you are investing in a future version of yourself who will thank you with a better life. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're strengthening a muscle the world will later admire. Every time you choose purpose over approval, you're freeing yourself from the limits of other people's expectations. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you're designing a future where comfort actually means something. The decisions you make when no one is watching become the habits that guide you when everyone is. One day, people will look at your success and call you lucky. They will see the outcome, but never understand the choices that created it. They will see the transformation, but never the quiet moments of doubt you push through. They will see the elevation, but never the sacrifices beneath it. And you will smile, not because you were lucky, but because you were faithful to your future long before the world cared. You made the decisions that mattered. You cast the votes that shaped your identity. You lived your future before you arrived at it. The biggest moments of your life will always be built by the smallest ones. And the decisions you make when no one is watching will always be the ones that matter most. So choose intentionally, choose wisely. Choose with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that every unseen decision is building an unforgettable future. The world will see the results one day, but you will know the truth. You didn't rise because of a big moment. You rose because of the small decisions you kept making, even when no one was there to witness them. Every decision you make either pulls your future closer or pushes it further away. It's a simple truth, almost too simple for most people to take seriously, yet it is the foundation of every great life ever lived. We often imagine the future as something distant, something we eventually arrive at, something shaped by fate or opportunity or luck. But the truth is more intimate and far more demanding. Your future is being shaped right now in real time by the choices you make today. Not tomorrow, not next year, not someday, today. Each choice is like a hand on a rope, either pulling your future toward you or letting it drift further into the distance. What makes this so powerful is that it means the future is not determined by the dramatic decisions we make once in a blue moon. It's shaped by the tiny, almost invisible ones we make every hour: the choice to scroll or study, the choice to delay or begin, the choice to stay silent or speak up, the choice to stay the same or evolve. These choices may feel insignificant in the moment, but they are not. They accumulate, they compound, they create momentum, either toward the person you want to become or away from them. And momentum, once established, becomes very hard to stop. Think about it. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you are pulling your future a little closer. You are reducing the distance between who you are and who you could be. You are building a bridge between your present potential and your future reality. But every time you choose the easier path simply because it's comfortable, you let the rope slip from your hands. You push your future away, not dramatically, not instantly, but gradually. And it's the gradual drift that destroys more dreams than failure ever will. Because failure wakes you up. Drift puts you to sleep. We like to tell ourselves that small decisions don't matter because they allow us to avoid responsibility. If the small choices don't matter, then we can postpone what matters. We can convince ourselves there's time. We can pretend that tomorrow is the day things will change. But the truth is that tomorrow only reflects what you rehearse today. Your habits don't magically transform overnight. Your mindset doesn't evolve by accident. Your opportunities don't multiply without effort. Your future doesn't move toward you unless you consistently pull it closer, decision by decision, moment by moment. And the weight of your choices isn't always obvious in the beginning. A poor decision today won't ruin your life. A wise decision today won't instantly elevate it. But each decision sends a signal, and your brain listens. When you choose procrastination, your brain learns that your comfort is more important than your goals. When you choose self-discipline, your brain learns that your goals are worth discomfort. When you choose negativity, you train your mind to expect the worst. When you choose gratitude, you train it to notice possibility. You are always programming your future with the decisions you make today. What makes this even more interesting is that decisions don't work in isolation, they multiply. One poor decision often leads to another. One wise decision often inspires the next. The small decisions you think don't matter become patterns, and patterns become identity. And identity, more than motivation or talent, is what determines the quality of your future. Because once you believe this is who I am, your actions follow effortlessly. When you see yourself as someone who chooses wisely, your decisions begin to align naturally with your future instead of your fears. Every decision is also a conversation with your future self. You may not think about them consciously, but that future version of you is always affected by what you decide today. There will be days, years from now, when you will thank yourself deeply for the difficult decisions you made now. And there will be days you will feel the weight of the decisions you avoided. The regrets people feel most at the end of their lives are not about the chances they took. They're about the chances they abandoned. They're about the futures they pushed away one small decision at a time. There's a strange comfort in imagining that the big moments are what define our lives. But that belief steals our power. Because big moments might never arrive unless we build the small ones that lead to them. Your future will not magically appear fully formed. It moves closer every time you act with intention. It moves away every time you act out of fear, laziness, or avoidance. It doesn't judge you, it simply responds to you. It mirrors your choices, it reflects your priorities, and it reveals where you are genuinely committed versus where you are simply interested. And here's the truth many people never understand: making the right decision is rarely about knowing what to do. It's about choosing what you already know is right but often avoid. Most people know what will move them forward, they just delay it. Most people know what will hurt their future, they just justify it. Most people know what will make them proud, they just choose what makes them comfortable. The gap between knowing and choosing is where futures are built or destroyed. The people who create extraordinary futures are not smarter, luckier, or more gifted. They are simply more intentional. They treat each decision like a vote for the life they want, not the life they fear. They understand that the price of a better future is paid in small daily choices that others overlook. They realize that their future is not some distant dream waiting at the end of a long road. It is the direct reflection of the choices they make repeatedly. So the next time you face a decision, even a small one, pause for a moment and recognize its power. Ask yourself, does this pull my future closer or push it further away? You already know the answer. The question is whether you will make the choice that aligns with your future or the one that aligns with your comfort. The future you want is not out of reach. It's not waiting for permission. It's not dependent on luck. It's simply waiting for you to pull it closer, one wise decision at a time.